Welcome to the Union Fitness Podcast with your co-hosts, Todd Hammer and
The main one, Motley Crue's backup singer, CJ.
your Motley Crue's backup singer.
Why? Yeah, look at me.
You know, I have to say that this crew is definitely, we are the David Lee Roth Van Halen. The other host that we have on the other weeks, that's when that dude from Extreme was the lead singer of Van Halen. So, oh yeah, we still have this same producer. He's the Tommy Lee of us.
Well, yeah. What was the guy in Van Halen that liked both singers? Was there one?
The bassist.
Okay, well then there you go.
Who they screwed over and threw him out of the band without telling him.
Well, that's probably how this is going.
Josh Elsess,
Yeah.
our producer,
We'll
ladies
see
and
you,
gentlemen. So this week, Charles Jasper, we both had worked at Robert Morris University, and we have an RMU alum on the air live who you don't know.
An RMU great alum.
An RMU great alum. I will claim one of the harder working dudes I saw during my time there.
Happiest dude on the planet Earth.
Happy dude.
Can confirm.
I'll tell you, before we even introduce this dude, he transferred in,
Mm-hmm.
and it was one of those dudes that showed leadership like day one.
Right.
Like, oh, this is a dude. And I remember there were a couple of guys that transferred in that year, I believe,
Yeah.
and it was just a good group of guys.
Yeah. Also, top 10 handlebar mustache of all time in hockey.
Whoa.
That's saying a lot in hockey. 'cause
Trust
there's
me,
a
it
lot
was
of
that
handlebar
good.
mustaches.
It was that good.
As a guy with bad hair, there's a lot of bad hair in hockey. I can
Yeah.
say that. No mustache. But Chris Kushneriuk, welcome to the show, man.
How's it going, guys?
We're good. It snowed. It felt like Canada.
Yeah, it's like Canada. We're in Canada right now. Canada, Pittsburgh.
Yes, we had snow today. We didn't get any ice fishing in.
No.
So
Yeah, we got snow here too.
what part?
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's truly bizarre because it's gonna go back up to the 70s after today. So
What part of the great land of Canada are you living in?
I live in Ottawa. It's where I'm born and raised. So I know a lot of Americans I met when I was in school there. Like, it's funny because we learned all about American geography in high school and history in high school, but I don't think Americans spend too much time learning about Canada and our history.
Americans don't learn much time about their own country,
Yeah.
let alone.
Americans
Yeah,
struggle
like-
with what's the capital of Pennsylvania. Ugh.
Like I've heard the province of British Columbia they think is in Great Britain. I've heard that they refer to Canada as America's hat.
Sounds about
It's
right.
pretty amazing. But I'm from Ottawa, so it's a beautiful city, nation's capital, population about 1 million people, about an hour away from like upstate New York.
Okay.
So we're right at the border too. But
Nice.
yeah, so this is where I came after I stopped playing in the minor leagues, and I always knew I'd get rooted and grounded back here.
You know, here's the problem with Americans. Since we're on this topic, not only say
It
you
really
guys,
grinds my gears.
you guys are a heck of a fedora for us. You really cover our bald spots well. Thank you. But do you know North Park in just north of Pittsburgh? It's this is a county park here. It's a nice park, and there's a lake there. And sometimes when it gets cold, it freezes over. And this year it froze over. I went out there a few times with the family, and we walked across the lake, and it's really cool. And some people play hockey out on the lake, and it's it doesn't happen that often in Pittsburgh. So what does some local kid decide to do?
Gets in their Tonka truck, baby.
He tries to drive across the lake. Now the lake's frozen for like 4 days. You need to know, like 4 days is not enough to get solid. And so, what do you think happened to his truck? Americans, we screw up anything. We take anything Canadian and make it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Driving
you know
on
what that
lakes.
reminds me of? It reminds me of I don't know if you remember from the first class year for Robert Morris hockey, Christian Boucher, the goalie.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
his class year, there was a guy. He was telling me his name. I see. We play in a men's league together, so we always shoot the breeze about what it was like back in Pittsburgh and at Robert Morris. We absolutely love and adore Pittsburgh, but we always share like the funny stories, of course. And I guess they had a guy. One of the new recruits came and he tried to swim across the Allegheny River,
Nice.
and he got caught. He got stuck in the middle, and they had to so they had to call in the fire department. They had to call an ambulance, and he got booted off the team. We were going over all these hilarious random stories of guys doing ridiculous things in college that I don't think kids would necessarily try now, but
They would.
I
They
mean,
would. They would. You're just
they
older.
probably would,
You're
yeah.
more wise. They're the same.
They were TikToking.
yeah.
I will tell you, excuse me, Derek once told me a story about a freshman who his first day on campus, and he text Derek when he meant to text his girlfriend.
Ooh.
And the head coach, Derek was the head
Oh,
coach, and he's
no.
looking at like, what do I say? And he showed me
Yeah.
like, I don't even remember what the details of the text were, but it was enough that it was like, that's for your girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's a scary guy to accidentally text instead of your girlfriend.
Yeah,
I don't think he made
he's
that player.
he's a teddy bear deep down though. I mean,
He is a tough
he puts out a front like he's a tough guy. I've seen that guy cry more than any grown man I've ever seen cry. So at the end of the day, he's a softie. He cares about his players a lot though, right? So like that, like I've never had a coach. I feel so lucky that I can go back to Robert Morris and I can go back to the Island Sports Center, and he's there and he treats you like family all the time, and you feel like you're someone in that program, even when you leave. And he's got a photographic memory, so he remembers like every big goal, every big game, big conversation. He's a really special person. So, but yeah, he's a big softie.
I was a freshman and I was interviewing him, and Ostergaard had just gotten hurt, and Levine had just come in and was playing phenomenally for you guys. I think it would have been your junior year. And so I asked him, what are you going to do about your goaltending controversy? And he looks me dead in the eye and he goes, what goaltending controversy? Like, clearly he had two starters. And I went white as a ghost. Like, I was terrified.
I'm 18 years old.
Yeah, I don't know what to do here.
Like, easy, coach. I'm not trying to insult your humanity here.
Yeah.
I just doing my job. Yeah.
So you took a different route to Robert Morris. So tell us about that, how you ended up there.
Yeah, like I guess hockey-wise, I was always like a really late bloomer. And I always thought that I was going to end up getting a scholarship for baseball, because I was playing on travel teams here, and I never was making the top teams growing up for hockey, but baseball I seemed to be excelling at. So we were putting more chips on the table for baseball, and hockey was just kind of like I liked hockey more, but it didn't seem like I was going to be carrying it as far as I would baseball. And then I ended up hurting my elbow when I was 16 pitching, and then just decided like I basically got lucky in tryouts and had a coach who vouched for me and said, hey, you got to put this kid on the top team this year. Like, he's consistently becoming our best player as the year goes on, and like he plays baseball all summer, so he's never coming to camp in shape or anything. He's just kind of raw, and then like all these other kids are on the ice all summer, so it's one of those things where I've kind of got like an unfair advantage, but I just didn't really care that much. And so they put me on that team, and then I ended up being the only kid on that team to play junior A hockey the next year. And then after that junior A year, I was the captain of the team the following year, and then played one more year of junior hockey. I would have been 20 years old. And I remember I was writing emails to all Division I schools, like everyone, trying to get some interest. And I was emailing the big schools I really didn't have any business emailing, but then a lot of them were really kind and would like give me advice. Say, hey, you might want to check with the Atlantic hockey schools, the smaller schools. We only typically recruit like national kids, things like that. And so I had no scholarship by the end of the season. A lot of conversations were had though, like a lot of schools talked to me, so I was disappointed. And then I got really lucky that a kid dropped out of his scholarship offer to Wayne State in Detroit. And so they had me next in line. So they basically offered me his scholarship. So I accepted that. And then the first day we get on campus, we meet with the athletic director at the rink in the dressing room. And he's just like, listen, guys, like, I don't know how to tell you this, but the city of Detroit and mainly the state of Michigan is in deep trouble financially right now. And they're basically doing an overhaul of a lot of the state school sports programs. Long story short, the hockey program costs more than all other programs combined to run. So you guys are done after this year. We'll honor your scholarships, but you can decide if you want to play out this year. So obviously we wanted to play. And I was one of 4 guys from that team to get picked up for another school. So 3 of us ended up at Robert Morris. And then 1 went to, I believe, Cornell. But yeah, so then I ended up at Robert Morris for my sophomore year, and then played my sophomore, junior, senior year.
And you had some success at Robert Morris. So tell us about your experience.
Yeah. Well, I had a slow start. Like I don't know, things didn't look really good. Cause I had a visit that, so I visited Robert Morris. My official visit was at the end of my freshman year at Wayne State. And so on my official visit, I knew some of the seniors from Ottawa, from where I'm from and living now, and they were done, right? So on the visit, they were just in pure party mode. And I ended up getting intertwined in their web and just becoming a complete and total idiot, basically. Did some like dumb things, basically. And I remember the next morning I woke up at Christian Boucher's house, the goalie that I was telling you about, and he had tied all my clothes in a knot and thrown them in the freezer. And Derek, the coach, was knocking at the door because we were getting picked up to do our like tour of the rink and all this stuff, sign the paperwork. And I went and got my clothes out of the freezer, so they were like frozen to my body. And then I'm picking up my shoes from the lawn, and then I'm just in the car. And luckily, Brock and the other guy were in better shape than I was. But yeah, so then when I got to Robert Morris, like my first game, before that, he had brought it up. He said, like, I know what happened on that visit. He's like, just keep a low profile for the first while. All right. And I didn't do anything really bad. It was, it was just like, I don't know. You don't want to be like drawing too much attention to yourself on a visit like that, though. And so I broke my foot in the second game of the year, but they wouldn't for whatever reason, they wouldn't give me an x-ray on it. So I kept playing on a broken foot until Christmas. I got home back to Ottawa and they x-rayed it, and sure enough, it was broken. And so I gave it like 4 or 5 weeks to heal up. And then I came back in the lineup and I tore it up once I was healed again. So I had a really good second half of my sophomore year, and then we almost won. I think we lost in triple overtime to Bemidji State in the finals.
That is painfully correct. I remember.
Wait, was that the game? Was that the game you were up 5-1 or something, or 4-1?
Oh my! No. It was a close game.
Okay, there was a game, a championship game. It might have been the year before you got there. Robert Morris was winning 5-1 going into the third, and they lost 6-5 in overtime.
Dang.
Yeah, that was hurt. And it was that Bemidji trip was just a nightmare though, because so we played Bemidji the last 2 games of the season, so on a Friday, Saturday.
That's
right.
And
then it was spring break and then playoffs. So we stayed in Bemidji in a Motel 6 for all of spring break. Went to the same bowling alley every day, just like, and then we ended up playing them, in the playoffs after that. So we spent so much time in Bemidji. But yeah, Matt Reed, who ended up playing for the Flyers, scored the game winner, and then had a really good junior year. And then senior year was pretty good. I was an assistant captain the second half of the sophomore year, assistant captain junior year, and then the captain the senior year. Senior year was kind of up and down. I got a concussion, but produced at a reasonable clip. My production went down a bit, but still good enough. Got a contract with the Wheeling Nailers after that.
And you said something early on in the beginning of this, and you said I got lucky because people vouched for me. And then you said just now I was captain at a school I transferred to with 1 semester in. I'm going to call a little bit of bullshit here. You didn't get lucky. People vouched for you because they saw your commitment, your dedication, your hard work.
They saw aura.
And that's the reality. Almost every successful person I talk to says that. Well, I got lucky with this thing. Yeah, luck does come into play, but at the same time, you got lucky because you put yourself in a position to get lucky. And that's why you were a captain when you transferred in, after you froze your clothes during your visit, and those little errors, we'll call them. That happens to everyone. So I will call a little bullshit. And it wasn't luck. It was hard work. It was commitment. It was dedication. It was your personality that brought you to where you are.
Yeah.
So I tip my hat for that.
Yeah. Humans aren't without flaws. You know what I mean? Like me, like everyone's got everyone has their stories, but you're right. Like I was the captain of my junior team for 2 years. I like trying to bring groups of people together. I feel like that's something that I enjoy doing and build a culture there. And I think, it's a manifestation of your hard work and, the way people perceive you. And by doing those things, people want to vouch for you. But I always say there is a small luck element in sports that you can't deny. Like championship teams that like injuries happen, right? For instance, like that's kind of like one of those things you can't really avoid. And you need to have a little bit of luck. Teams that win championships typically need a little bit of puck luck or something here and there. But overall, like the fabric of what you're doing, that needs to come from a core leadership group, and individuals can influence that. One individual, influences another, who influences another, who influences another. Like that part's not luck. That's having, good quality people with character and, the right personality traits.
So you graduated from RMU, you went to the Wheeling Nailers. I assume the story goes you went to the Penguins, won the Stanley Cup, and now you retire.
Yeah.
Tell us, is that how it went? I set you up on this one.
I went away for spring break after the senior year because I needed to decompress. And I remember getting calls I had an advisor that was working for me, and I didn't even know if I wanted to continue playing hockey. I thought I might go get in the working world and stuff, but I was on spring break. I was on the beach, and I remember finally this guy said, "Listen, are you going to go play somewhere after or not? Because like you keep telling me you're busy with exams and this and that." And I just said, "You know what? I'll go." I'm like, I just need a few days. Really, I just wanted to like decompress for a few days. So then when I came back, I joined the Nailers, and like we had an unbelievable start. Like we were kind of on the fringe of making the playoffs, and then a few of us college guys went in and really helped push the team over the top. I ended up playing with 2 NHL contract guys in the top line. We had a great run. Like we made it to so I think we lost in the conference final, but the team that we beat in the second round was first in the league. They had beaten Wheeling. Wheeling was 0-8 against them in the regular season. We took them to 7 games, and I got the double overtime game winner in that game 7.
Nice.
I was a healthy scratch the game before, and I was really pissed off about it. And I didn't think I was going to play in game 7, but coach said, "Hey, like be ready because you're going tonight." And then put me back in the top line. We scored every goal of the game, and it was such an incredible experience. And then I joined the team back the next year, and that's when I was sick and things weren't going well. So then ended up kind of like fumbling through the year until finally I realized that I was really ill, and I went and got checked out. And I guess that opens the door to the next topic, which is I had a pretty long, grueling battle with stage 4 cancer, and that's what was bogging me down. So that was a tough time, but I suppose like anything in life, you roll with the punches. You find a way to get through it and to turn a negative into a positive, and that's kind of what I've tried to do.
And
remember how I said happiest guy on the planet?
Yeah.
He just brushed off stage 4 cancer like it was a inconvenient parking ticket.
Well, and he didn't say I had stage 4 cancer. I went through 3 rounds of chemo, something like
4.
that. 4. I'm sorry. I apologize. 4 rounds of chemo.
How dare you?
Take one of my rounds.
To come back, told less than 1% chance of anything coming back, to find out that now something has happened in your lung, to have another surgery, to back to playing professionally, and then a tree fall through your house. A tree fell through your house?
Yeah, the only significant tornado in Ottawa's history that happened 3 years ago.
Everything was okay though. Everyone was okay. I don't know. I mean,
it was crazy. Like
I only know from reading about it.
Did you play the lottery after?
She was sleeping on the couch, and she got up. She got up to go to the gym. I had given her a call before a game and woke her up. She got up, drove to the gym. I was renting out an apartment in the house. It had an in-law suite. My friend comes back, turns the shower on, and a tree flies through the living room and crushes the couch in half where she was sleeping.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's I mean, you had a heck of a run, but they say bad things happen in 3, so I'll give you had all 3. You're good.
You're good.
It's smooth sailing from here on out.
You're set.
So
you
obviously had to transition out of athletics, partially due to health and partially just because it was time to move on.
Exactly.
Something I think we see a lot of, whether it be the lifters, whether it be the athletes we work with, is that mental side of transitioning out. How did you make it so easy? Or how do you, maybe you're faking it to me. I don't know. How do you keep such a positive attitude with all that?
I mean, yeah, it's like you said, like I try and make sure the story I'm telling other people is the same story I'm telling myself, right? Because it doesn't make any sense to walk through life and pretend everything's good when like you have a lot of things you have to sort out. So I generally think I try and be pretty transparent, authentic about who I am. So what I did was I got into coaching pretty quickly. I actually got into lifting quite a bit. I got a really good job in real estate. I got into building homes and yeah, you know what? Just like embracing the friendships I have here, the relationships I have here, making sure that I'm staying involved in, you know, I don't know, whether it's like I have a team of guys that I golf with. Everything I do is like extracurricularly. I typically view it as like a kind of like a team environment. So I kind of get my fix there. But you know, having said that, it was still difficult, I think, the first couple years because it's very hard to replace that like that you know, that adrenaline rush, that the preparation involved, the competitiveness, and even like that team environment. Like when you guys are you know, when you a bunch of testosterone filled individuals are going in and you know you're trying to win a hockey game, you're getting in fights, you're you know you're laying your body on the line like CJ in that photo shoot a few years ago, you know, blocking shots, blocking pucks. It's just, or sorry, that was Josh, not CJ. Anyway,
he's tougher than me.
It's you know, it's kind of just a combination of things, and I think a lot of it goes down to your mentality too. Like I generally try and tone down the negative talk in my head, and I typically try and disrupt it when it happens. And I think that, you know, that part of it, that like meditative side of it, that you know, internal side of it is just like that goes along with living a fulfilled life. So, you know, you got to be aware of that.
Not to harp on it, but I read in an article you said after the first battle with cancer, you talked about how once you got back on the ice, you felt like yourself again. You can do that. And like, I think that's a big thing that a lot of us, or a lot of people transitioning out of their sport, feel is well, I don't feel like myself unless I'm insert on the ice, on the field, on the court, whatever. How did you do that? How did you feel in that transition part of it where you like, okay, I'm not lacing up the skates anymore. Like I'm not on the ice like 6 days a week.
Yeah. Well, you know, for me, I had this, like, I had to change the narrative of like being the sick guy, first of all. Right. So like after I was done with like cancer, I hated the fact that, you know, when I lost all my hair, I lost 50 pounds. I was just kind of like, I was like frail looking. And before that, you know, I'm walking around, you know, 6'1", 210 pounds, like in the best shape of my life, and people look at you differently, right? And when I was sick, like that's why I tried to keep it on the down low as much as I could until I had to get treated in the US and needed the fundraising, and it had to become really public. But I didn't like how I was looked at as kind of like the sick guy. And you know, I just wanted to kind of change that narrative. And for me, like playing hockey after that was the one way I was going to do it. And I loved it. You know, I had to get back to what I was doing and not let the bad circumstances take that from me. I was going to leave it sort of on my terms, which I did. And so like, I don't know, like you know, once I left hockey, I was at peace with it, because I always said, like, you know, once I feel like my trajectory isn't continuing to go up, I thought there was a chance I'd get called up or something. And I didn't see it really happening anymore. I was one of the older guys in the team. And so I was just realistic about it. But, you know, I became at peace with it. And I stopped kind of identifying with myself as, you know, the professional hockey player. I said, you know what, I'm going to be something else now. And that's okay. Like, you know what I mean? Life is all about transitioning into different things and doing different things. And now I'm Chris, the guy who, like, a lot of people think that I'm a developer, you know, and I build houses, and they're shocked when they find out that, you know, they kind of see that I look like a bit of a hockey player, got a little bit of like long hair coming out of the hat. I still keep myself in shape and stuff, and like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But now people think I'm a construction guy. Now people think I'm a real estate appraiser. Now people, and people can think whatever they want about me, but at the end of the day, like, I am who I am. I'm, a guy who just, loves to go out with my friends and family and be social and, you know what I mean? And travel and just do what I want on my own time and not let anyone else dictate that. So, I mean, I think that people who get caught up in, their careers or whatever it is, and then they technically lose that, or they something happens, maybe they retire like an athlete does, or they get fired, something happens. They have to like get over this, like identifying themselves with that job that they were doing, because there's much more to life than that.
It's funny because we both transitioned out of strength and conditioning. I did 20 years and you did over a decade. And so often, the question you have to people is, what do you do? And people define themselves by that career. What do you do? And that question kind of irks me, because what do you do? I mountain bike.
Yeah.
I love mountain biking. I do at least 2-3 times a week.
It's like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what do I do? Like, what do I do for a paycheck? And I think the happiest people I see in life are those people who have those multiple avenues of what do you do? Well, I'm on a podcast. I mountain bike. I play drums. I do these things. I have a job. And I'll be honest with you, I have one of the coolest jobs in the world. Like, it's pretty fun. I feel like we make a difference in the world. I feel like the world is a better place for what we do. But what do you do? In that question, I think, said a lot. And you actually made me think of one more thing.
What do you do to make an impact on people? I think that's
there we go.
I'm going to start asking that one.
That's a better
that.
What do you do?
Yeah, so
it's too heavy for some people. Yeah. I don't know if you go there.
So I got a wheeling story for you, which you made me think of. Right before lockdown last year, early March, me and Tenzig went. My son's name's Tenzig. We went to Wheeling to see the Wildcrats live. The Wildcrats PBS show, if you know that. And went down to Wheeling. We had a great lunch at a little restaurant we found. Really, it was just a beautiful early spring day. It was warm out. And we're walking into Wildcrats, and there's a young man in front of us around the same age as my son. And he had a tall shoe on one foot. He obviously had some deficiency. One leg was significantly shorter. And Tensa goes, "Daddy, what is that?" And he said it really loud. And I said, "Come here, buddy." And I kind of pulled him aside, and I said, "I don't mind you asking that, but understand that that young man has some sort of an injury or, a growth issue, which he has to do that." And I was like, the one thing you don't want to do is just keep reminding him of that. And I think what you talked about with the cancer thing, it changes how people see you. When you walk in the room 6'1", shredded up, 210 pounds, versus 6'1", 170 pounds with no hair, people, their eyes are different to you. And one of the things I try to teach my son, and hopefully, I'm doing it right, is try not to judge the person by what you see exterior. Whether they're a little fat, a little skinny, bald, have some sort of issue with their body that is probably not their fault. Don't judge them for that. And also don't make them conscious of that. Accept them with who they are. So I think your point, when you see someone with cancer, talk to them like a human. So often I think people it's almost as if they talk down. Yeah. Like, "Oh, how are you?" And you're like, "Oh."
Yeah, they feel it's like they pity you, or they feel sorry for whatever it is, right? And even now, people don't realize that. They'll be like, "Oh, like, I just think that people lack general like social awareness a lot of time." Would be like, "Oh, like, how are you feeling? Are you doing okay?" "Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you feeling?" My metabolic health is incredible, actually. Do you want to see my blood panel? Do you want to see?
It's probably better than yours.
I'm optimal. Like,
all right, we're gonna
hit the squat rack.
Whoa, hold on now.
I'm sorry.
Hold on now. Speaking of squat rack, we gotta have some fun, like college lifting stories, or like, were you a weight room dude? Did you guys train together
for a year?
Okay,
1 year, yeah.
So have you got any cool weight room Ham stories, or like, were you the dude in the weight room, or you was Ham getting on?
The biggest thing I learned from Hammer that I still do now are the Tabata squats were killer.
Oh, we did some Tabata today with the boys.
Did you?
Yeah.
With Chatham Hockey.
With Chatham Hockey.
Yeah. So when I
have
my my big like hypertrophy days, I usually will I'll incorporate them, and I bring my buddies in on them, and it's So like that's when I think of Tabata, I've always like associated that with Hammer, and
that's my one thing. I got it. I'm out. Listen, Mike drop. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for having me here. So when borders are open again, We're gonna come down and we're gonna see who can hang on it.
Tabata Nation.
What?
You're gonna go up.
We're gonna go up.
You're gonna go up.
No, he needs to come
Oh,
see the
he's
gym.
coming down.
He
to
gotta
the
come see
gym.
the gym.
Yeah.
Visit Pittsburgh.
It's more likely that I'll end up down there.
We have some hockey hookups here. We'll get some good free games in for you.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll do some things. So can I do lightning round?
Well, if he's ready.
I have a text message here from a former teammate of yours, and
Mhm.
there's 3 things. The 4th question will be: do you know who the teammate is?
Okay.
Now, I'll do a little true or false. True or false? Did you have a nickname based on a Seinfeld character? And if you did, tell us about it.
Yeah.
I think that's a true.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's a go.
It's funny because they call me Kramer. So because I'm always getting myself in like sticky situations. Like my buddy calls them and so Kramer's real name I think is Cosmo.
Uh-huh.
And so my buddies will call them the Cosmo, my Cosmos conundrums.
Nice.
I like it. I like it.
That's a
And
good
usually it's in my my dating life or something like that. But I had we had one yesterday. We were hanging in the I have a 2-car garage. I converted it to like a weight room, like lounge. And we were hanging out there. We had all moved this massive garbage bin. They moved some massive garbage bin for me for the site. Anyway, we were hanging out, having some drinks, and I was helping my parents because they're selling their house, and they're just kind of like not very tech savvy. So I'm basically doing all the work for them. They got an offer yesterday that they wanted to accept. So I'm like, you guys can use email, just go on. It's a DocuSign, and you just have to like, I don't know, just basically click to sign it. And I didn't realize that there was like an expiry date that night on it. So I only told them about it after the offer had expired. So that was one of Cosmo's conundrums. You know what I mean? I just constantly get myself in these like situations where I don't know, like other people don't seem to be getting themselves caught in them as much as I do. But anyway, that all worked out.
There's a lot worse nicknames to have.
Yeah, that's a class.
All right. So after treatment, I want to hear at least one good story about the arcade basketball game rivalries you guys used to have. I hear about this got a little heated with some arcade basketball game. I think it was in the house you guys were living in.
Yeah, it was at Waterford. It was at
and now you're probably starting to piece together who this was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was it was just one of those like those little like where there's the 2 mini nets or whatever, and you're kind of trying to drain them. But the thing is there was no like there was no like honor in the game at all, because the one guy was just like. The one guy was Evan Renwick. He was so tall and lanky. He could just like reach and and just like basically dunk them. So like, it's not like if you play a game like beer pong, your elbow has to be behind the table. And I'm trying to explain to him, hey, like you can't literally dunk the balls like that.
The ball.
You can, man.
Yeah.
Hey, that's people are tall in basketball. It's part of life.
It's cheap. You know what I mean? If you want to, if that's how you want to live your life, no honor, no nothing like that, then fine. But don't bring it around me. So anyway, I think that I would have been considered the best shot.
Yes, of course.
So we're learning you're a bit competitive.
Yeah, and very humble.
All right. So this question I started: did you or did you not play in Vegas?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it true that you did not own a car and you used to ride your bicycle down the strip to the arena? That's what the text message says.
No way. That's a lie. That's false.
That's what it says. It said, I'm pretty sure.
I think I took a scooter once.
Okay. All right.
There it is.
I think that happened. That definitely did happen. Maybe more than once. But I didn't have to bike there. It was way too far. We were just off the strip, and like maybe I did bike a couple times. So no.
Back together now.
I knew a starting linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers that didn't own a car, and he would either ride his bicycle or take Pat Bus to the games.
Who was that?
This was a long time ago. His name was Tom Mislinski. Or not Tom Mislinski. Jerry Oslavsky. Milo was his buddy. Milo was the first strength coach of Robert Morris. But Jerry Oslavsky is now coaching somewhere.
He's a coach somewhere, huh?
Yeah, he was at Youngstown for a while. Jerry O lived in Shadyside and owned no car. And he would ride his bicycle or take a Pat bus to the games. I always had the image of like
a giant middle linebacker.
Yeah, but remember Pee Wee football when you did the helmet through the shoulder pads and the jersey? Like the dude the yoked up linebacker sitting next to you on Pat bus holding the helmet, like, what's up? Like, where are you going? Game day. That was a different era. That was like the 90s NFL when the concussions weren't a thing.
Kush, if anybody ever teases you about it again, just remind them that Chelios used to ride his bike to the rink both ways, and then also ride in the sauna before and after games on the stationary bike. So you're in good company.
Mario Lemieux used to smoke between periods. So I mean, come on.
That's right.
Yeah, smoking dark.
So, do you know who it was?
Do we have an answer?
Can I ask for one question for a hint? Was it before or after my time?
I think he was.
Or during my time or after my time?
I think he was older than you.
Older?
I think I could. No. I'm sorry. He was younger. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I think it's Colin South.
Colin South. Ding ding. Hold on. Yeah. Look at this. I get to use my gavel.
Oh boy.
I'm shocked because
I thought his brother was older, right?
Right.
That's why I got confused with Firm. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's funny is his brother's an NHL referee now, right?
He lives 5 houses away from me.
Look at that.
And yeah, okay, so you should. Do you ever see him?
Yeah, all the time. Him and the dog. And
you should ask him about when I bumped into him in Tampa at the Bolts game.
Just
I was sitting on the glass, and I was with another RMU alum named Greg Gibson, and we had a couple ladies there with us, and we.
I was like, come on, ladies.
Yeah.
Well, we had just met them in Tampa, and like a guy that I know like gave us glass seats, and he had extras. And anyway, randomly, like I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, I think that's Furman on the line right now, like literally like 5 feet away from us. So we just start hammering the glass, yelling his name. He looks over, gives a double take. He's like, "What?" We're like, "What?" So then after I think the players on the Bolts started catching on to the fact that we knew the ref. So then like Kucherov was coming over trying to like hammer our beers off of the on the glass. And he was just like coming over and wincing. Then before the period, the refs would come over and they kind of like smile at us because we were having a great time. And the fact that Furman was repping was just like so cool, right? Because I don't know, I was just on the ice with him playing in games not too like a few years ago. So yeah, that was super cool. You should ask him. You should say, hey, Kush came on the podcast and he was saying how he saw you reffing in Tampa the one time, and see what he said.
I'm gonna send him the podcast.
I just like that Cosmos conundrums can be positive too.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that's a positive one.
I just feel like after hearing a story, I have to live vicariously through you. Can you like text me once a week and tell me what you did? And I'd be like, I'm going to bed.
No, they're usually like there are daily conundrums. Like that's like and. To be honest, most of the time it's just my friends laughing about my dating life.
I laugh about CJ's dating life, and I love his girlfriend
all the time.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know what that means
it's
either.
CJ, so.
Sorry, Sky.
So, what last piece of advice, just for the people that are listening, what's going to keep our heads up out there in the world?
You know what? There's especially right now, there's so much going on. Like we're in full blown lockdown in Ontario right now. And we have been for almost a year. People are finding ways to try and make it interesting, but the gyms aren't open. None of the stores are open unless they're grocery stores. They're putting they canceled golf now. Like, there's so much negative press and negative things going on out there, but just embracing a spirit that you can only control what you can control. And you know what I mean? Like people are going to make decisions around you. And if you can't control it, don't waste time and energy on it. You only have so much bandwidth in a day to manage like stress and whatnot. Like focus that on the things that matter. Otherwise, just try and find the positives in life. You know what I mean? Like the other day hammered how we got connected. I found my first goal puck back from playing cancer in my garage. I looked at it and instantly I started to smile because I realized how damn lucky I am, right? How fortunate I am to be, still with everyone and still able to do the things I love. Yeah, it's not great that, there's restrictions and things going on, but at the end of the day, we're all so fortunate to have what we have, our families, our friends. And that's not to say you're not going to have bad days, but just kind of having that awareness that the bad days are going to go away, and you do have the power to change your thought process and kind of like intercept those negative thoughts and turn them into a positive. That's what I really try and spend a lot of my time focusing on. And I find that when I do that, I'm generally just, in a much better mood. I'm happy. So I think there's still a lot of positive things, a lot of things to be happy about in the world. So just, focus on that, focus on how lucky we all are. And, that's typically what I would suggest in my message for anyone listening out there.
Hell of a pep talk, huh?
I know. I had to take my son to get his first cavity filled this morning. And he's 7 years old, and he'll write and say, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I said, Tenzing, do you know what a mentor is? And he said, no. And I explained kind of what a mentor was. And I said, one of my mentors, Ethan Reeves, who was a longtime strength coach at Wake Forest and kind of just one of the OGs of strength and conditioning. And he once said, you know what I love? I love the dentist. I love going to the dentist. No one who likes the dentist, right? CJ doesn't. That's why he had to go in emergency dental stuff last week. I didn't. That's why I have had emergency dental work done. And he said, the dentist reminds me of the toothache. And I was like, this is all right. There's nothing good about this so far. And he goes, but the toothache will always remind me I'm still here. If you have a toothache, it sucks. There's like no pain like a toothache pain, right? You just had it. It's miserable. But it reminds you that you're here. You have another day. You're still kicking. You're still having fun. You can still do things. And he said, so the dentist will always make me think back to the toothache. The toothache will always remind me I'm still here. And I think, hey, let's go to the dentist. And I was like, it's a great way to look at the world.
It's a great way to look at it. Exactly. Yeah. It's perspective is so important, right? It's the single most important thing you can have. And I think that perspective for me is that I have peace of mind again. You know what I mean? Like when I was ill, I said people undervalue peace of mind so much, and they create situations where they think they're stressed, or they lower their threshold for being able to manage what is actually stressful and what isn't. And so, I think that like people strongly undervalue a peace of mind. And I think that, that's something that we can all, take something from. But yeah, like on the dentist thing, I love the dentist. I had no teeth a few years ago. Now they fixed my teeth. I got a great smile after playing hockey. And you know what? The dentist is my favorite place because he restored my smile, man.
There we go.
It's hard to have those young ladies with you at the Lightning game when you're missing all the teeth.
Yeah,
exactly. They nicknamed me in college. My nickname was the Mule too. I thought that's what Colin was going to say because I had like my teeth were all like broken and messed up. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, I almost prefer Cosmo to the Mule. So I'll definitely take Cosmo.
I like Cosmo. I'll take Cosmo.
I like Cosmo too.
Like as long as you're not the mailman on Seinfeld, you're in a pretty good spot.
As long as you're not Newman.
Yeah, Newman. How is that Newman? You don't want to be Newman. Well, hey man, thanks for coming on, brother. We appreciate it. Hopefully, some people took some ideas. Cause I think you had some good thoughts in there, and you have a great story. I know RMU is going to run with this. I talked to Dews today. They're going to pump it out this week too. So,
cool.
So hopefully, some people listen and dig what you had to say.
Yeah, and for all you men out there, 15 to 35, check your balls.
Check
I had testicular cancer. All you got to do is check your balls. Any lumps or bumps, go get an ultrasound. Not enough people are talking about it. It's a conversation we need to have more, but it's the most curable of all the diseases, but it's usually the most late detected because guys don't want to talk about it or they ignore it. So, keep that in mind too. My last message, but thank you guys for having me. It was great, and I'd love to do it another time if ever you'd have me on.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Well, hey, go ahead, Josh.
Kush, before you go, Brooks Bratton says hello.
All right.
There's a big
Brooks,
smile.
The Nashville man, the Nashville broadcast man.
You getting texted over there?
Noel, he is the Nashville Predators guy. He's the guy. So
the guy.
And if you want to talk about guys who work their ass off to achieve something.
Yeah, he was outstanding. Yeah. He was a horse and so dedicated to his craft, like all of you guys are. he climbed the ranks, man. Like, you know what I mean? He did it. And he's living his dream. So good for him. That's awesome. I love it.
Best guy too.
Oh yeah, nicest guy.
Oh
nice
yeah,
family too.
Great family, and always a big dessert guy. Brooksy would give you the best places to get dessert in the entire city, wherever it was.
Right, we're gonna have an entire podcast covering why hockey nicknames are
so great.
They're all the same.
Cosmos Conundrum.
Yeah.
No,
just
what are you talking about? That's a great name.
Brooksy.
Hey,
like
what's
everyone's
up, Hammy?
Yeah, Brooksy.
Hammy.
Hey, Joshy, what's going on?
Well, hey, thank you again for being on and listening to the Union Fitness Podcast here live in the Union Fitness Studio with the producer, the man, the myth, the legend, Josh, CG, and always the guy driving this car into a lake. Hope we can unlock the doors, Todd Hammer. Thank you for listening.
See you guys.